Welcome back. It is Season 3 of QUACKAST. Season 3 of QUACKAST has officially begun. We will start with the off-season. I'm meant to make videos for you guys on the off-season, so I'm going to do it in a couple of episodes, maybe 3, talking about the players, some notes from our GM and coaches, some of the things I expect out of the players. But for tonight's episode, we're going to talk about the new players that we signed in the off-season.
Interesting.
What numbers they'll be wearing, and some of the stats that they managed to accrue last year. Let's get into it. Please subscribe to this YouTube channel. Your support means a lot to me, and stay tuned for more of the Great Roast Off Barbecue. Let's talk about the Ducks off-season signings. So, the Ducks needed to do a lot in the off-season in terms of speed and getting younger on defense. We had a lot of older players on defense. Well, maybe not significantly old, like in their 40s, but we still had some older players on defense and some cap issue and some cap. But when we got rid of those players, we got significantly under the cap. So let's take a look at some of the players that we signed. So early on in the offseason, I was wondering to myself, boy, who would be good for our second line? Well, 2 signings came from the New York Rangers playoff run. And you may remember these players pretty well if you watched the playoffs run of a lot of those teams like I did. Frank Vatrano and Ryan Strome. Let's take a look at some of their player stats. Frank Vatrano is a right winger, 5'11", 197 pounds, 28 years old, signed to a pretty modest 3-year deal. Vatrano's been known to be more of a depth player throughout his career. He's played for 3 different teams before coming to Anaheim. He played in order of his career: the Boston Bruins, the Florida Panthers, and New York Rangers. 3 years with Boston, 4 to 5 seasons in Florida, and 1 full season last year with the New York Rangers. He's only ever eclipsed over 60 games or 70 games played in a season 1 time, and that was in 18-19 with Florida when he scored 24 goals with 15 assists for 39 points. That's actually his career high. So not a big goal scorer, but he can make some plays with the puck. Vatrano will wear number 77 like he did with the Panthers and Rangers. Expect him to be slotted in on our second line along with our other free agent acquisition, Ryan Strome. Ryan Strome was signed to a 5x5 for his contract. What does that mean? 5 years, $25 million. So he'll be making $5 million for the next 5 years. Strome last season scored 21 goals and 33 assists for 54 points. Nice. He wasn't much of a factor, though, in the last 5 games of the playoffs on their run, having absolutely no offense. Like, literally, he had no goals or assists, and he was a -2 in his rating with 2 penalty minutes. Ouch. For his career, though, Strome has always been a pretty solid goal scorer. In his career, through 621 games played, 130 goals, 227 assists for 357 points and a +40 rating. Not bad. Like Vatrano, the Ducks are Strome's 4th team, playing for, in the past, the New York Islanders for 4 seasons, the aforementioned Oilers for a pair of seasons, and then his last 4 seasons with the New York Rangers. Strome has never put up 20 goals in a season, but maybe this is the year that he does it. I think Strome's going to do really well with us because he's going to have a guy like Adam Henry, or he's going to have Frank Vatrano, to pass to, and he'll also have another really good player on that second line. I'm not sure who it will be, but I'll talk about lines combinations on a different episode. Strome's career high for goals is 18 in a season. He did that in the 18-19 and the 19-20 seasons with the New York Rangers. So Strome has a very good offensive game, and he has very good stick handling skills. Strome will wear number 16 with the Anaheim Ducks. John Klingberg was one of the biggest free agents to be had on the NHL market this season. He is ours now. Just a one-year deal. It's worth $7 million. The thing about John Klingberg, he was loved in Dallas for his puck handling prowess, but in the previous season he had no offense to give for Dallas, and that's why his stats didn't look so good. Through 74 games, 6 goals, 41 assists, 47 points. I mean, that's not great. And he especially wasn't good in the playoffs. Just 1 point in those playoffs through his last 5 playoff games. So he didn't do that great versus Calgary. I shouldn't say that he's a bad player. It's just he just had a bad season, which is the reason why he's betting on himself with a 1-year deal. It's like low risk, high reward.
Are you sure about that?
Don't spend a lot of money, but let's say John Klingberg's really good. There's a world where we could give him a short-term extension, like 3 years or 3, 4, 5 years, say, if he does really, really good for our team this year. And if he's bad, you just trade him at the deadline, and you can get a couple of picks for a guy with his talent. John Klingberg, he's a big player. He's 6'3", 190 pounds, 30 years old. In his career, he has 552 games played, 71 goals, 303 assists, 374 points. He will wear number 3 with the Ducks. I am looking forward to seeing what John Klingberg can bring to the lineup. Dimitri Kulikov was the other defenseman that we signed. He came from the Minnesota Wild. Kulikov played a nearly fully healthy season, 80 games, 7 goals, 17 assists, 24 points. He's 31 years old. He's a bit of a journeyman. He's played with quite a few teams, and he's been playing since the 2009-10 season, so a long time. He's played for Florida, Buffalo, Winnipeg, the New Jersey Devils, the Edmonton Oilers, and the Minnesota Wild. Wow, that is a lot of teams.
That is correct.
Kulikov's career high in goals was 8 with the Florida Panthers, achieved back in the 2013-14 season with 11 assists for 19 points that season. Dimitri Kulikov was a first-round pick, 14th overall in 2009, and he made his NHL debut at the age of 18 in October of 2009 against the Blackhawks. In his career, Dimitri Kulikov has played 805 games, so as I said, he's been around a long, long time.
Yep.
42 goals, 156 assists for 198 points. Kulikov, I think, should slot into our second pairing defenseman. He should go there, I believe, with a guy like Cam Fowler, and you should slide the man whose tendency to give the puck away, Kevin Shattenkirk, down to the third pairing defenseman. I'll talk about the defensive combinations for our players, our 3 defensive pairings in another episode. Dimitri Kulikov is going to wear number 29 for the Ducks. Keep your eye on that. He's also 6'1", 201 pounds, 31 years old. Another one of the players, and I thought this was kind of interesting, because this is a name I've heard throughout the NHL through a couple years now. Rocco Grimaldi. He was signed to a PTO, which stands for a professional tryout. Grimaldi is a very short player. He's about my height. I would say he's like the Jose Altuve of hockey, except without the cheating.
Really?
Sorry, I shouldn't be talking about baseball on a hockey show, or keep trying to rip on the Astros even if I'm an Angels fan.
Correct.
So, Grimaldi he had a career season. He had his career high in goals in 2020 and 2021. Grimaldi played in 66 games in the 2019-20 season, where he had a career high of goals with 10 and a career high assist total with 21 for a total of 31 points. That was when Rocco Grimaldi's name got the most mention. So Grimaldi, he actually played in today's preseason game against the Arizona Coyotes, and he actually had a really good game, and I think he was the best player on the ice. He had 3 assists in a 3-2 win over the Arizona Coyotes at their college arena, ASU. Look that up. It's still crazy how they're playing in a college-style arena. Yes. Yeah, that's just another note. The Ducks winning today 3-2, but I'm not going to go in depth on that in the episode. I just say Grimaldi. He's an interesting signing, and if he keeps up this level of skill, you should sign him to a 1-year deal and let him play on your active roster, slot him in on the 3rd, 4th line. Grimaldi was a 2nd-round pick of the Florida Panthers back in 2011. In his career, he's played 203 games with 30 career goals, 37 assists for 67 points. Well, about 2/3 of those actually are from his time in Nashville. Along with the players that I've mentioned that have come in, there are some pretty significant, or maybe insignificant, depending on if you really hated these players, that we have lost to the likes of free agency. And one of them, and this one I'm so disappointed about, was Sonny Milano. Because he had been so inconsistent in his career, had one great season in Columbus, then was bad again, and then got the trade to us, was mostly injured, and then had his one good season with us last year. That might be a reason why we didn't bring him back. Milano was signed to a PTO, I mentioned what that was earlier, by the Calgary Flames. Another loss, this one, I'm not as disappointed about this one, was Jacob Larson. A lot of Ducks fans did not like him on defense for his how much he gave the puck away and just wasn't that good of a defender. He is now with the Ottawa Senators. Sam Steele we lost to the Minnesota Wild. He'll probably get a look on their 3rd or 4th line. Steele, through his few years with us, had 6 goals in each of his seasons, but he just wasn't that good of a player. He just wasn't always in the lineup, and he never brought that much to the table. And another one that we lost, a couple others that we lost, 2 of our acquisitions from last year's trade deadline. Dominic Simone signed a deal to go play in the Continental Hockey League in Russia, and Zach Aston Reese was also lost to free agency. So lost a couple players there. And then another one that I'm a little surprised about losing was Jerry Mayhew. You might remember I mentioned that name a couple of times, or maybe I didn't. It might have been after I stopped doing QUACKAST last year. Yep. Jerry Mayhew actually did a pretty good job with us, but he is no longer with the Anaheim Ducks. That's one I wish we had back. So that's the episode talking about the players that we've gained and lost. In our next episode, I'm probably going to talk about our rookies that we may see crack the roster, and maybe some rookies to look forward to in the future. And I'll mention some names in that episode as well. So that's all for now. Remember to click like and subscribe if you have yet to do that already, and leave your comments down below. Let's go Ducks, and let's get ready for the 2022 to 2023 NHL season.